Captain Elias Kane stepped off his sleek starship onto the surface of Zithera, a planet that shimmered under a violet sky. The air was crisp and carried a faint scent of minerals and unknown flowers. All around him, towering spires of crystal rose from the ground, catching the sunlight and scattering it in 1,000 colors. This was no ordinary planet. Zithera was famous across the galaxy for its legendary contest, one that tested intelligence, courage, and judgment. Champions from dozens of star systems had come here, each hoping to prove themselves. The crowd was immense. Thousands of spectators, both human and alien, filled the grand arena carved into the crystalline mountains. Their eyes gleamed with excitement as the announcements began. The rules were simple but ruthless. Each champion would choose a prize from among Zithera's inhabitants, an alien being, and together they would face trials designed to challenge every skill. Success would mean glory, failure, humiliation. Elias's gaze swept across the assembled aliens. They were extraordinary. Some floated above the ground, their bodies translucent and shimmering like liquid glass. Others had wings that glowed softly in the sunlight, while a few displayed intricate patterns of colors that shifted with emotion. The audience gasped and cheered as champions began to make their choices, naturally drawn to the most dazzling beings. Yet Elias did not hurry. He moved slowly, studying each alien, listening to the whispers of the crowd, feeling the pull of instinct. He noticed a small figure standing slightly apart from the rest. Her skin was rough, covered in irregular ridges. Her eyes were large but not particularly bright, and her mouth curved strangely. To most, she seemed plain, or even ugly, next to the dazzling beauty of her peers. Her name was Vera, and she watched Elias with steady, intelligent eyes. The crowd murmured. Why would a human champion pause before her? The whispers grew into laughter and chatter, as onlookers assumed he was either foolish or desperate. Yet Elias sensed something unusual. He saw strength in her posture, a spark of sharp intelligence in her gaze, and an air of quiet confidence that no beauty could imitate. Captain Kane, one of the organizers, called. The time to choose is now. Who is your prize? Elias turned slowly, his eyes meeting Vera's. She did not flinch. There was no fear, no pleading, only a steady, curious stare. The crowd erupted into surprise. Champions had already chosen radiant beings that seemed almost unreal. But Elias stepped forward and extended his hand to Vera. Her, he said simply. Gasps echoed across the arena. Whispers ran through the audience like wildfire. Some aliens tilted their heads in confusion. Why choose her? One whispered to a neighbor. She is, ordinary. Vera studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded, a small smile touching her lips. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty. She took his hand. The crowd went silent. For a moment, only the wind moving through the crystal towers filled the space. Then slowly, some spectators began to applaud. Not in mockery, but in awe. They sensed that something unusual had just begun. The first trial was announced. The champions and their chosen aliens must navigate the Crimson Ravines, a network of deep chasms filled with unpredictable terrain, shifting platforms, and natural hazards. Many of the chosen beautiful aliens would be dazzled or distracted by the breathtaking views, but Elias trusted Vera's instinct. As the trial began, Elias and Vera moved carefully but efficiently. She assessed every step, predicting which stones would hold and which would crumble. She spotted hidden ledges and secret paths that others missed entirely. The radiant aliens chosen by other champions struggled as the crowd watched in suspense. Some champions faltered, dragged down by their own vanity or poor judgment. Through it all, Vera remained calm, her eyes sharp and observant. She did not boast or draw attention. Instead, she quietly guided Elias, making small gestures, pointing out dangers and offering solutions without hesitation. The human captain began to feel a growing admiration for her. Her unassuming appearance had hidden her true abilities that no one else had recognized. As they neared the end of the ravines, a particularly dangerous gap appeared, one too wide to jump. Vera knelt, examining the terrain. "We can use the ridges over there," she said, pointing to a series of uneven rocks barely visible beneath the crimson light. "They can hold our weight if we move slowly." Elias followed her instructions, trusting completely. Step by careful step, they crossed the gap. The crowd gasped again, this time in excitement. No one had expected them to succeed. Other champions struggled, some falling short or turning back in frustration. When they reached the other side, Elias looked at Vera. She smiled faintly, her confidence unshaken. For the first time, he felt certain of his choice. The contest was more than beauty, more than appearances. True value lay in intelligence, courage, and the heart to face challenges without fear. And Elias knew, deep inside, that this small, rough-skinned alien held something extraordinary, something that would change the course of the contest, and perhaps even the galaxy itself. The sun of Zithera had barely risen when the champions gathered for the second trial. The arena had transformed overnight. Where once there had been crystal spires and open spaces, now there were dense, twisting forests of metallic trees, their silver leaves reflecting the strange light. Rivers of glowing liquid snaked through. The undergrowth and enormous vines hung like bridges above bottomless chasms. The trial was called the Forest of Mirrors, a place designed to test perception, strategy, and endurance. Elias adjusted his jacket and glanced at Vera. She moved with quiet confidence, her eyes scanning every detail of the alien forest. The other champions strode forward confidently, showing off their dazzling prizes. Many of these aliens had wings or bright colors that shimmered in the light, drawing attention. Yet Vera did not try to impress anyone. She focused entirely on the task, her mind working like a finely tuned instrument. As they entered the forest, illusions began to appear. Holographic walls shimmered in front of them, hiding hidden paths. Strange creatures, some small, some large, emerged from the shadows. Some were harmless, curious about the intruders. Others were predators, testing strength and reflexes. The other champions relied on brute strength or their alien companions' flashy abilities. Many stumbled, misjudging distances or mistaking illusions for real obstacles. Elias had expected challenges, but even he was surprised at the cleverness required to navigate this trial. Vera paused at a fork in the path, her eyes narrowing. "The left path is a trap," she said quietly. "The stones look solid, but they're hollow. We would fall." She pointed to a series of vines arching over a glowing river. "Follow me. This route is safer, though it requires balance and patience." Elias followed without hesitation. Step by careful step, they moved across the vines. Vera's guidance was precise, anticipating each wobble and adjusting her weight subtly to maintain stability. A few champions ahead of them fell into the glowing river, their prizes shrieking in panic. The spectators gasped at every misstep, but Elias and Vera moved calmly, steadily. Hours passed. They faced tests that demanded more than strength. There were puzzles carved into the trunks of metallic trees, symbols that needed to be rearranged in the correct sequence to open hidden paths. While other champions struggled, Vera solved them with remarkable speed. Her reasoning was logical, her mind sharp and precise. Elias watched in admiration as she decoded the alien language effortlessly, something no one else could manage. At one point, a massive holographic serpent appeared, blocking their path. Its scales reflected light in dazzling patterns, making it difficult to judge its movements. The other champions froze, intimidated by the illusion. Vera did not flinch. She studied its movements carefully. "It moves in a pattern," she said. "Step 3 times to the left, then duck. Follow me." Elias followed her instructions, and they passed safely. Many spectators were stunned. The ugly alien, overlooked and underestimated, had guided the human champion through challenges that others could not overcome. Later, they encountered a deep chasm with a rickety bridge. Halfway across, the bridge began to shake violently. Vera assessed the situation quickly. "We can't run. The vibrations will break the wood. Move slowly, one step at a time, and stay close to me." Elias obeyed, and together they crossed safely while other champions panicked. losing precious time. As the trial neared its end, Vera noticed something unusual, a series of glowing markings on the trees that formed a pattern, almost like a map. "These symbols lead to the exit," she whispered. "If we follow them, we can finish ahead of others." Elias nodded, trusting her instinct completely. Step by step, they followed the hidden path, carefully avoiding traps and pitfalls. Vera remained alert, constantly observing, calculating, and directing Elias. The sun began to set, casting long shadows through the metallic trees. When they finally reached the clearing that marked the end of the trial, they were among the first to arrive. The crowd erupted in astonishment. While other champions had relied on their alien companions' beauty or superficial talents, Elias and Vera had succeeded through strategy, intelligence, and teamwork. Judges whispered among themselves, noting the unexpected outcome. Vera had shown that appearances were meaningless when compared to skill and insight. Elias looked at her, a smile of respect spreading across his face. "You were incredible," he said quietly. Vera shrugged modestly, but her eyes shone with quiet pride. "I just observed," she said. "The forest reveals what it wants. You just have to pay attention." In that moment, Elias realized something profound. The galaxy often valued beauty, power, and spectacle over thought, courage, and wisdom. Yet Vera embodied what true strength meant. She was not flashy or glamorous, but her mind and heart were extraordinary. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold, Elias and Vera stood together, ready for whatever the contest might throw at them next. The trials were only beginning, but the bond between them had already formed, forged in quiet observation, trust, and mutual respect. The crowd continued to whisper, amazed by the human champion's choice. Elias knew the murmurs would continue, but he no longer cared. The ugly alien he had chosen was already proving to be his greatest asset. And deep down he knew the most challenging tests were still ahead. The next morning, the arena of Zithera buzzed with anticipation. The third trial was the most dangerous yet. The Labyrinth of Shadows, a massive maze that twisted across a canyon, its walls tall and covered with reflective black crystals. Light bent strangely and echoes played tricks on the mind. Many champions had already spoken in hushed tones of the labyrinth's ability to confuse even the cleverest competitors. Elias tightened the straps on his boots and looked at Vera. She seemed calm, almost serene despite the labyrinth looming before them. Her eyes flicked over the entrance, noting every ridge and shadow. "We have to trust more than what we see," she said softly. "The labyrinth reacts to fear. Stay steady and we will find the path." As they entered, illusions sprang up immediately. Paths seemed to loop endlessly, and whispers echoed from empty corridors. Some champions lost their way within minutes, their prizes panicking or crying out. Yet Elias followed Vera closely. Her presence was steadying. She seemed to sense the hidden structure beneath the shadows, moving confidently even when the route appeared impossible. Hours passed, and the labyrinth revealed its trials. Pressure plates that could trigger traps, shifting walls that could crush the unwary, and pools of dark liquid that reflected false images of the travelers themselves. Vera studied each obstacle carefully. "The reflection shows what we fear," she explained. "Ignore it. Focus on reality, not illusion." Elias nodded, relying on her guidance. At one point, a section of the maze opened into a circular chamber. Its floor was polished to a mirror-like finish, reflecting countless images of them. A sudden tremor shook the chamber and shadowy figures appeared, projections designed to scare and distract. Most champions froze, unsure which image was real. Vera stepped forward, her eyes narrowed. "They are shadows of possibility," she said. "They cannot touch us. Step forward with purpose." Elias followed her, and together they moved calmly through the chamber. Each step Vera took was measured, precise, and confident. She navigated the illusions with skill that seemed almost supernatural. The projections flickered and disappeared as if recognizing her determination. Beyond the chamber lay the most difficult part of the labyrinth, the hollow bridge, a suspended pathway over a canyon filled with swirling mist and jagged rocks. Only a few planks remained intact, and the rest seemed ready to collapse. Vera studied the bridge carefully, touching the planks lightly and assessing their strength. "This bridge reacts to weight and balance," she said. "Step lightly, move steadily, and we will cross safely." Elias obeyed, trusting her completely. Halfway across, a plank cracked beneath him, and Vera grabbed his arm, pulling him to safety. Other champions struggled, losing precious time as their alien prizes panicked. Finally, they reached the labyrinth's core, a circular chamber filled with ancient alien machinery. At its center was a glowing crystal pulsating with light. The judges explained that this crystal would respond to the one who truly understood the labyrinth, testing their intelligence, courage, and insight. Many champions approached, trying to force the crystal to react through display or strength. None succeeded. Vera stepped forward. She examined the crystal, noticing subtle changes in its glow as she moved. Then she placed her hand gently on the surface. The light flared, responding to her touch. Elias watched in awe. "You see it," he whispered. Vera nodded. "It responds to understanding, not power." The crystal pulsed brighter, then formed a holographic map of the labyrinth, revealing hidden paths, safe passages, and the exit. It was clear to everyone watching that the labyrinth had chosen her, not because of beauty or strength, but because of wisdom, patience, and insight. The crowd was stunned. Elias smiled quietly, knowing he had recognized her true abilities long before anyone else. Vera's ugliness, once mocked by onlookers, concealed a brilliance that no one could ignore. She was clever, perceptive, and brave, the qualities that truly mattered in the galaxy. As they left the labyrinth, other champions looked at them with a mix of envy and disbelief. Vera had not only guided Elias through the most dangerous trial yet, but had also revealed a power beyond appearances. Her intelligence, courage, and steady heart had proven that value lay deeper than what the eyes could see. Elias put a hand on her shoulder. "You are amazing," he said, admiration clear in his voice. Vera smiled faintly, modest but proud. "I only did what was necessary," she replied. "The labyrinth only tests those who try to understand it." That night, as the stars of Zithera sparkled in the sky, Elias reflected on what had occurred. Across the galaxy, many judged worth by outward appearance or dazzling abilities. Yet here was Vera, the one they called ugly, demonstrating qualities that could outshine any beauty. Elias realized something profound. Appearances might capture attention, but intelligence, courage, and insight would change destinies. And in Vera, he had found a companion who embodied the best of these qualities. Together, they were no longer just a human and an alien. They were a team, ready to face any challenge the contest or the galaxy might send their way. For the first time, Elias felt certain that his choice had been more than wise. It was revolutionary. Vera was extraordinary, not because she looked different, but because she saw the world clearly and acted with courage. And in the trials ahead, her true power would continue to unfold, revealing secrets that no one had expected. The morning sun rose over Zithera, casting long shadows across the arena where the fourth trial would begin. This trial was unlike the others. It was called the Gauntlet of Shadows, a test not only of skill and intelligence but also of trust, strategy, and loyalty. Champions were warned. The paths ahead would be filled with traps, puzzles, and adversaries who might betray them at the slightest mistake. Elias and Vera stood at the starting line, observing the other champions. Many were already whispering, plotting to sabotage rivals and claim victory for themselves. Some prizes displayed impressive abilities, but their companions often showed arrogance and overconfidence. Elias knew that relying only on strength or appearance would not be enough. He turned to Vera. "We face more than obstacles this time," he said. "We must watch their moves, anticipate traps, and trust each other completely." Vera nodded. Her expression was calm but focused. "I know," she replied. "We need to stay alert. Watch me, and I will watch the path. We succeed together or not at all." The trial began in a dense canyon, where walls of jagged rock and twisting tunnels formed a maze. Pressure plates littered the ground, glowing faintly when stepped upon. Some triggered nets or energy fields, while others released walls that could crush the unwary. Champions ahead of them rushed recklessly, many triggering traps and falling behind. Vera led Elias carefully, analyzing each step and every sign of danger. "Slow," she whispered. "We move only when we are certain. Others rush and fail because they let fear guide them." Elias followed her instructions, marveling at how she could sense danger where no one else noticed it. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the wall, a rival champion trying to block their path. He smirked, confident that Elias would falter. But Vera had already observed him. She pointed to a narrow side path. "This way. He won't notice until it's too late." Elias nodded and they slipped past undetected. Hours passed. Each obstacle tested them further. There were pits filled with shimmering liquids that distorted reality, puzzles that required precise logic, and mechanical guardians that reacted to sound and movement. Champions relying on flashy abilities or brute strength struggled, while Elias and Vera advanced steadily. At one point, a chamber opened filled with mirrors, each reflecting multiple images of them. Some images moved independently, trying to confuse them. Vera studied the reflections and smiled faintly. "They are only illusions," she said. "Focus on reality. Do not react to what is false." Step by step, they moved through the Hall of Orcs, ding traps that had caught other champions. Then came the greatest challenge, a narrow bridge suspended over a canyon of molten rock. Winds whipped fiercely and the bridge trembled. Champions ahead panicked, their prizes unable to help. Vera assessed the situation, calculating the bridge's weak points. "We must move carefully together," she said. "One wrong step could be the end." Elias trusted her completely. They stepped in unison, balancing on the narrow planks. When a section began to crack beneath him, Vera grabbed his arm and guided him safely across. Other champions struggled, some retreating in fear. The bond between Elias and Vera, forged in earlier trials, had never been stronger. As they neared the end of the trial, a group of rival champions attempted an ambush, hoping to push them off the path. But Vera anticipated their move. Using a combination of quick thinking and knowledge of the terrain, she led Elias through a hidden side route. The rivals were caught off guard, unable to follow. When they finally reached the exit, the judges and audience erupted in astonishment. Many whispered about the unexpected pair. Vera, who had been dismissed as ugly and weak, had not only survived but had guided her human champion through the most dangerous challenges yet. Her intelligence, courage, and steady heart had proven that appearances were meaningless when compared to true skill and character. Elias looked at Vera, admiration clear in his eyes. "You are remarkable," he said quietly. She smiled faintly. "We work as a team," she replied. "We trust each other, and that is our strength." The crowd continued to murmur, amazed by the outcome. For the first time, many realized that the human champion had chosen his prize wisely, not for beauty, but for the qualities that mattered most: intelligence, courage, and unwavering loyalty. That night, as the twin moons of Zithra rose, Elias and Vera sat near a calm river, reflecting on the day. "The rivals will try even harder next time," Elias said. "We cannot let our guard down," Vera nodded. "We will be ready. We have learned to trust each other, and that is more powerful than any display of strength or beauty. Together we can face anything." Elias smiled, realizing the truth of her words. The contest was more than a test of skill. It was a test of character. And Vera, the alien everyone had underestimated, had proven herself extraordinary. In that moment, he knew that the final trial would not only test their abilities, but also the bond they had built. Whatever lay ahead, Elias and Vera would face it together, showing the galaxy that true strength was not in appearances but in courage, intelligence, and trust. The final trial awaited at the heart of Zithra, in a massive dome carved from translucent crystal. The judges announced it with solemnity: the trial of truth. This was the ultimate test, designed not to challenge strength or agility, but to reveal the character of both champion and prize. Only those who had shown true courage, intelligence, and heart would succeed. Elias and Vera entered the dome together, the soft hum of energy vibrating beneath their feet. Champions from other worlds had gathered, eager to witness the finale. Many eyes were still on the dazzling, radiant aliens, on creatures whose beauty had long captivated the galaxy. Yet all attention soon shifted to Vera, the rough-skinned, unassuming alien who had already defied expectations in every previous trial. The judges explained the trial. The crystal dome would present visions, illusions of desires and fears. Each pair would be tempted, tested, and forced to make choices that reflected their true selves. Failure would not be physical but moral. Only integrity, courage, and insight would open the path to victory. The first vision appeared. Elias saw a starship filled with wealth and fame, prizes beyond imagination waiting for him if he abandoned the trials and left Vera behind. Other champions had faltered at this stage, their desires overwhelming them. But Elias looked at Vera, her eyes steady and calm. She was not swayed by visions or rewards. She focused on truth and understanding. Elias shook his head and stepped forward, ignoring the illusion. Vera's hand found his, giving him silent encouragement. Next, a vision tested Vera. Shadows of her past appeared, moments where she had been underestimated, mocked, or ignored. The shadows whispered doubts, trying to make her believe she was unworthy. But Vera's gaze remained firm. She spoke softly to Elias. "They are lies. We know who we are." Together they faced the shadows, walking confidently through the illusions that had trapped others. The dome's energy intensified. The final test appeared as a massive crystal pillar in the center of the chamber. It was the ultimate prize, glowing with light that responded only to truth and courage. Champions approached, trying to force it with strength or trickery. None succeeded. Vera studied it carefully, observing subtle patterns in the glow. Then she stepped forward, placing her hands gently on the crystal. The crystal pulsed warmly, responding to her presence. Light spread throughout the dome, revealing a hidden pattern, a map showing the exit and the path to victory. The judges gasped. The prize had chosen her, recognizing her intelligence, integrity, and courage. She had not been chosen for beauty or glamour, but for what truly mattered. Elias smiled, his heart full of admiration. "I knew it," he said quietly. "I chose wisely." Vera looked at him, her eyes shining with quiet pride. "We did this together," she replied. "Trust and understanding brought us here, not appearances." The crowd erupted in awe. The galaxy had watched as the human champion had picked what many called the ugliest alien. Yet the choice had proven itself extraordinary. Vera had shown that true value was not in how one looked, but in courage, intelligence, and heart. Judges from across Zithera nodded, acknowledging her as the rightful heir to the trial of truth. Rival champions, once confident, looked on with respect and disbelief. Many whispered among themselves, realizing they had underestimated the qualities that mattered most. The lesson was clear. Appearances could deceive, but character and wisdom could not. Elias and Vera left the crystal dome together, their bond stronger than ever. They had faced illusions, danger, and doubt, yet they had succeeded through trust, courage, and intelligence. Across the galaxy, stories of their achievement began to spread, inspiring humans and aliens alike to look beyond appearances and value the strength within. As night fell over Zithera, the twin moons reflected off the crystal towers, casting a soft glow on the two champions. Elias turned to Vera. "You have changed the way the galaxy sees strength," he said. She smiled faintly. "We only revealed what was always true," she replied. "The universe values courage, wisdom, and heart. Nothing else matters." With the contest complete, they did not part ways. Instead, Elias and Vera prepared to explore the stars together. Their victories had not been for glory or fame alone, but to show that true strength came from understanding, courage, and trust. Across worlds, creatures of all shapes and forms would remember their story, and it would inspire countless others to look deeper than the surface. And so, the ugliest alien, chosen not for pity but for what she truly was, became a symbol of hope, courage, and wisdom. Elias, the human champion, became a legend not just for his skill but for his vision to see beyond appearances. Together they left Zithera, ready for adventures that would stretch across the galaxy, showing that heroism and true value often dwell where no one expects. The stars awaited them, vast and full of unknown challenges. But Elias and Vera knew this. With courage, intelligence, and trust, there was no obstacle too great, no trial too dangerous, and no secret too hidden. The universe had recognized their worth, and they would continue to shine not for beauty but for the strength of heart and mind.